signals for the most brutal recession to ever strike the United States. It's coming, and it's coming fast, and it's coming hard, baby. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. I saw this interesting article on the Economic Times India Times. Somebody's calling me. Is Elon Musk's DOGE leadership driving U.S. towards recession and hiring freezes? Here's what a top economist has to say. Oh my God. Elon Musk and Trump are going to cause a recession, maybe even a depression. Oh, baby, buckle up. So let's go through this article. A prominent economist has sounded the alarm over the potential economic turmoil that could result from Elon Musk's aggressive cost-cutting measures in the federal government. Guys, did you know that if we had mass layoffs, that could potentially affect parts of the economy? But there's more. Let's keep reading. The warning comes as layoffs, hiring freezes, and slashed contracts threaten to destabilize the labor market, potentially leading to a deep, we gotta say deep twice, recession, as mentioned in a report by Futurism. I love all these sources. Okay, we have Futurism, and then we have the India Times. Jesse Rothstein, interesting name there, a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, communist, and former Department of Labor chief economist, worked for the government, slug, has expressed concerns that billionaire entrepreneurs' role in reducing federal spending could set off a devastating economic downturn. Oh! Okay, guys, look. With the DOGE cuts, you're gonna get these type of articles. You're gonna get the fear-mongering that cutting wasteful spending in the government is gonna cause a recession. Now, is the government a huge part of the U.S. economy? Oh, yes. If you think about how much the federal government spends, what was it, $7 trillion last year? How much state governments spend? How much local governments spend? I believe government spending as a percentage of GDP is like 35, 40%. I could be wrong there. But it's a huge part. So if we all of a sudden cut off government spending, of course that would affect the economy in the short term. Because think about towns that exist because of the government. When I was in the Army, I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. It's now called Fort Cavazos or whatever. And at Fort Hood, the entire economy was based on the government. Why? Because you had tens of thousands of soldiers there, and they all spent money in the local economy. And if, let's say, you disbanded the military, let's say you disbanded Fort Hood, Killeen, Harker Heights, all the other freaking places are out there, their economies would have a massive negative impact. So theoretically, yes, you would have like a recession, depression, ghost towns in Killeen. But there's more to it, and we're going to keep reading, okay? I'm going to give you my opinion about what Jesse Rothstein, a Department of Labor economist, has to say, and why Jesse's freaking wrong, clown. In a post on Blue Sky, woke Twitter, Rothstein stated that the country is almost certainly headed towards a severe economic contraction due to mass layoffs in government jobs and abrupt federal contract cancellations. Quote, Rothstein, "It seems almost unavoidable at this point that we are headed for a deep recession." Okay, great quote. Wow, that was so, that gave me so much more information. The Economist noted that the upcoming March unemployment report, set to be released on April 4th, oh my God, puts significant job losses outside of the 2008-2009 financial crisis and the pandemic-induced downturn in 2020. Okay? Well, I'm getting scared. He also pointed out that economic uncertainty in the private sector is discouraging new hiring, further compounding the crisis. Economic uncertainty in the private sector. Aren't small businesses celebrating now that the God Emperor has taken the throne, Mr. Pro-Business? When employers see this level of instability, it becomes incredibly difficult to justify expanding their workforce. Yeah, when we go ahead and cut taxes, okay, and we encourage domestication of manufacturing and industrial production, I'm sure that's going to hurt jobs, but we're cutting federal jobs. Oh! So let me give you my thoughts, and we'll keep reading after this. A government job that is cut in the short term will affect the economy, local, and of course across the nation. Just like I freaking said. Think about the clean example. If Fort Hood shuts down, that the whole area is screwed. Property values will collapse. Businesses will collapse. All the strip clubs will go out of business. Oh my God, what a freaking disaster. But you got to think about the jobs that federal government employers create and private sector employers create. Federal employers oftentimes overhire and they don't do a lot of work. Let's say that I'm a federal agency and I create a job where I want an employee to stare at the wall and then lick it every 5 minutes. So he just stares, looks at his clock, and then he licks the wall. Then he waits 5 more minutes and he goes, and that's his only freaking job. Okay? Now that guy is getting paid. And when that guy goes and spends his money, right? That creates other jobs because, one guy's spending is another guy's income. But think about the economic production that is happening with that federal employee who licks the wall every 5 minutes. What is he producing? Nothing. Okay? That's a microcosm of what the federal government does. In the private sector, that job wouldn't exist. Or if it did exist, the company that offered that job would not be as profitable and would have issues competing with competitors. And over time, that company would probably go bust. The federal government does not go bust. They can just keep paying this clown, this slug, to lick the wall. And sure, he creates jobs, but guess what? There's no actual production. Do you see the difference? In the private sector, it's a lot harder to grift. It's a lot harder to justify a job that doesn't produce goods or services. In the government, it is. So if you cut Clown Boy's wall licker's job, yes, that might impact the economy in the short term, but old wall licker is going to have to find another job. And he might actually find a job in manufacturing. Or maybe he goes and gets a skill and actually does something legitimate. Okay? Do you see the problem with a lot of federal jobs? Short-term pain for long-term gain. But it's going to cause a recession. We need to keep government jobs. Lick the wall forever. A sharp increase in unemployment typically leads to a decline in consumer spending, which in turn slows economic growth. Wow, I thought unemployment increased economic growth. Thank you, Mr. Ruthstein, or whatever your name is. This downward spiral can push the economy deeper into recession. Rothstein explained, that's why we need to keep people in the government, okay? Even though they're not producing anything, they're just sitting around with their thumbs up their you-know-whats. It's going to hurt the economy, so we got to keep the job. Adding to the concern is a lack of clarity regarding how workers have already been dismissed from federal jobs. Boo-hoo! Rothstein suggests that the U.S. Office of Personnel Management itself may not have full knowledge of the current employment situation. Oh, you mean OPM doesn't know what's going on in the government? That shocker. You think they're competent? This could result in delayed and inaccurate reporting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, making it harder for policymakers to react effectively. If policymakers had common sense, they would know that short-term, some economies would be impacted, but long-term, offloading unproductive people from the public sector, who are also paid more on average, than the private sector, and putting them into the private sector producing goods and services in the long run would be beneficial for the economy. I'm just saying, okay? Meanwhile, the uncertainty is already affecting universities and businesses. Don't even get me started on universities. Now, is college a scam? No. Okay, depending on what you study. Are there a lot of scams in colleges? Yes, there are. There are so many colleges out there that offer BS nonsense degrees that teach you nothing and enslave the students to student loan debt in exchange for a worthless education. And you know who the colleges enrich? The freaking professors and staff and administration of the college. Because the government pays the college. They teach a bunch of nonsense. They get paid. And the student is ultimately responsible for paying off the debt at the end of the day. A lot of young Americans are being grifted by universities. I'm not saying all college is bad. Obviously, there are some good degrees out there. But there's a lot of fat in the system when it comes to universities, okay? We should cut them too. It's diversity DEI doctorate. Yeah, why can't I find a job? Many of which are implementing hiring freezes in anticipation of further economic distress. Universities freezing hiring is good, okay? And it depends what businesses there are. Musk's justification, short-term pain for long-term gain. Oh, yeah, Musk is actually right about that, even though he's a clown. Musk, who has taken out an unelected advisory role in the government financial oversight, has defended his cost-cutting approach. Okay, they always say Musk is unelected. Trump got elected, and he appoints people. Duh! Well, do we have to vote for every bureaucrat? You go to the voting booth, and there's like 100,000 names. Yes, no, yes, no. What a clown show. Speaking at a recent campaign event for Geodis, he acknowledged the economic strain, but insisted that it was necessary to restore fiscal discipline. Guys, the government's very fiscally disciplined. We're only running deficits at 6% of GDP during a booming economic time. It makes sense, right? Yeah. Well, it's perfectly normal. Let's cut taxes more. We have to reduce spending to live within our means, Musk said. That's true. I'm defending Elon Musk. We really do live in clown world. That necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity. Good job, Musky. What the heck? Why did my thing refresh? Somebody's probably hacking my computer. Probably some government slug.
You can't make fun of the government.
Why does this keep jumping around? This is pissing me off. Critics, however, argued that the immediate damage of his policies could be severe with long-lasting economic repercussions. Okay, what's the damage? So grifters get screwed over. People that were grifting the government can no longer grift the government. And people that are ancillary to the government get screwed over. Well, too freaking bad. Too freaking bad. You've been grifting the American people too long, you scumbags. Looming consequences for the U.S. economy. Rothstein stressed that beyond the direct job losses, the broader economy would suffer from reduced government services. Yes, because instead of us sending money to Washington to be spent on freaking nonsense, now we get to keep more of our own money. Oh my God! The workers who are losing their jobs were worth more than they were being paid, he wrote. What? Hold on, let me read this quote again. The workers who are losing their jobs, the federal workers. I got so many. Maybe I'm going to do a dedicated video going over like all the people I worked with in the government, and I'm going to let you guys decide whether they were earning their paychecks, but that's for another day. The workers who are losing their jobs were worth more than they were being paid. If that's the case, they should be able to command higher salaries in the private sector. And I guarantee you, they're not going to be able to do that because they don't have any real freaking skills besides government. We are poor when roads, planes, and food are Okay, here we go. Here's the grift. Every time if you fire a guy that licks the wall, that means that the roads, planes, and food are going to be unsafe. If you do any cuts to the government, worthless people that don't do anything, that means planes are going to crash. That means grandma's not going to get her social security check. It's called propaganda. They try to connect the dots. Slug worker that licks the wall, fired, therefore plane crashes. I don't see the connection there, okay? Now, if you fired all the air traffic controllers, okay, I see the connection. But slug, licking wall, fired, therefore plane crashes, I don't see the connection there, okay? Propaganda. When parks are closed, oh my God. So that's the article. What do you guys think about this? Everybody liked the video. I got 93 people watching. Such a huge audience. And I got 4 freaking likes. What do you guys think about that? Do you think we're going to have a huge economic crash because we fire a bunch of people that aren't doing anything, that are just sitting around? And I can confirm this. I'm not just saying this. I'm not just saying this. I live this. I'm a government man. All right, let's do some comments. I got to answer a phone call. Are you mad that Jeremy's stocks are doing good? Oh, I'm seething right now. I'm actually doing some DD. Jeremy almost had to sell his house in 2022 because he was hurting so bad. I may do a video on that later, but I'm not going to reveal his address, even though it's easy to find. Hey, Strongman, are you able to lift 34 kilos with one hand? I've never tried it. Ryu from Bacon Memes. DOGE is perfect cover for either party to wash their hands of blame for cuts. No, they're going to blame the Republicans for that one. Strongman, do an analysis on Hims and the retail freakout of performance chasing gone bust. Maybe I'll look into Hims, the PP pills. Rothstein, I called it. Oh my God, Rothstein, oh my God. What if they intend to cut wasteful spending, do a poor job, and do more damage than good? Intentions don't mean they are qualified to fulfill them. I mean, I'll give it to Elon. He kept Twitter afloat. I mean, he fired a bunch, like 90% of the staff, and it's working just fine, it looks like. So, I don't know. Okay. Even in my community, this is a real man's investing with Ryan. Even my community college has some BS with professors and textbooks. Oh, college is a grift, dude. I mean, there's some good degrees, but there's also a huge amount of grift going on in colleges. Off topic, how long did it take you to pass FAR? I think about 2 months. Let's see. All right, Gil's accusing me of not being a good market timer. I like your bed. I have the same bed. It's nice. Yeah, it's a king-size bed, and it's all mine. All right, last comment. I farted by KL. Thank you, KL. That was very, thank you for contributing to this discussion. So what do you guys think? Do you think we're going to have a severe recession or a depression because we're firing a bunch of unproductive clowns and making them get real jobs in the private sector? Or do you think Elon Musk is just the embodiment of evil because federal employees with their cushy jobs and their benefits that get paid more than you now have to go in the private sector? Too bad, so sad. Anyway, like, subscribe, check out the pinned comment, book a free tax consultation with me. I am a certified public accountant. I will do your business and or personal taxes in 2024. You can talk to me for free. I'll give you an upfront quote, and I will prepare your taxes. Any state in the United States, give it to me, baby. Talk to you later. Cheers.